And welcome back, everybody. It seems like we have figured out our troubles, whatever the hell they were, and we are back. And we were talking about, have you seen my red sleeper? Old Hurricane Milton on the way to Florida. Did you put all that together? Because I'll tell you, when the memes were first coming out, I was like, wait a minute. Have you seen my sleeper? I didn't understand exactly what it was. But here we are. So, Jeffrey, you were talking about your preps. You were talking about being there at the sandbags. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just a sandbagging son of a bitch yesterday.
You sandbags, huh? Like already ready to go.
I just thought, I'm like, there's not a place where I can just pull up and pay somebody to put this in my car for me, and there's not. There's no.
Not.
You can't get around it. There's no paying anybody for anything. And it was crazy.
So, are you worried about your the area behind you? Is that what you're worried about?
No, like kind of pulls a little bit in the front, and there's the weather stripping's not really great on my front door and in front of my garage, and so I'm just gonna rather be safe than sorry. So I'm gonna take industrial garbage bags, cut them down, lay them down, and then lay down the bags in front of those, and just try to keep water out because I got a lot of shit in my garage. So just better safe than sorry. I don't think I'll end up needing it, but they're saying we might get another hurricane next week. So
really,
I mean, I guess might as well just keep it.
I said,
you were talking about your generator, about how
since I have the whole home generator, honestly, I don't worry about anything. I really don't. It's just perfect peace of mind. I don't have to worry about power ever. I don't have to worry about anything in my refrigerator. I don't worry about anything in my freezer. It's just I'm very blessed to be able to have it. It was one of the things when I first moved in that my wife was like, "Why are we spending all of this money?" Because I'll be honest, it wasn't cheap, But on the same token, they've definitely got more expensive now. I think they're upwards of almost like 20. But it's not necessarily the generator that's the money to install. It's the permitting and installation. The generator itself is only like $6,000, but it's like 10 grand to have it installed, to have your gas line ran, the power, all of that type of stuff. And the that we were in, it was the permitting with the city and the county and all that shit. That was the bureaucratic red tape that Mr. DeSantis was talking about, which God bless our good Florida. And I don't care if you think that you just don't eat. I just can't believe the amount of people in Florida that just don't like him. So whatever he does, they're like, oh, here comes the dictator. They're calling him a dictator for what he has done in Tampa. I don't know if you noticed, but he's made the guards, the disposal areas, open 24 hours. He's requiring them to run 24 hours to try to get some of this debris up out of Tampa and St. Pete. Dude. Nah. I love everything that he's doing and he has done. Like I told my wife, I was also like, in China, you remember, obviously you remember when COVID first hit.
Yeah.
China built a hospital in 2 weeks. A hospital. We can't get a hospital built in 3 years sometimes. And, I guess when you're a communist country. Oh. Oh. I figured out what it was.
What was it?
It was this, Jeffrey. It was this. So obviously, as we have the hurricane, as we're starting to get some rain now, this thing is set up on my window right there. And obviously, it has a microphone. That's what was picking up the double echo. All right, whatever. As we are starting to get some rain, but I will say this: obviously, China is a communist country. And it they don't have to go through anything, but the fact that they get shit done like that is what needs to happen in shit like this, right?
Yeah, we're not propping up China right now as like
I'm not propping up China at all, but I will tell you when the fan in China, they get it done. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, FEMA, absolute shit show. The response in North Carolina, with the response that's going to happen down here in Florida, just absolute shit show. But anyway, I digress. As you can see, there is a live look. The rain is coming down. The wind is starting to pick up. We don't expect the majority of it, of course, till later tonight. I hate it. I hate just like everybody else, I'm sure, when these hurricanes just hit in the middle of the night. Like just, hit us in the daytime.
You did mention DeSantis, and I do want to say it is refreshing to see. I know the person running for president on the other side had made some comments about DeSantis, and then Joe
What
Biden
an
came out.
idiotic comment.
Joe Biden came out yesterday and said, Governor DeSantis has been amazing every single time I've talked to him when it comes to a disaster. He has handled his state fantastically. I gave him my personal cell phone number. If he ever needs anything at all, he has complete autonomy to call me. I thought that was great.
The phone?
I don't know, Jill. But
as much as we've not Biden, I have to take that with a grain of salt because we both know Joe Biden's not all there. Does he even remember the conversations or who's making those decisions? But yes, good point, cool. Kamala. Perfect. Take your foot out of your fucking mouth. Like you're turning a natural disaster into a political stunt.
Buff is just crushing it in fantasy football this year, man. Like Buff, what an incredible team, man. Props to you. Kudos to you, man.
And he's trying, and he was still trying, and I got to give him credit. I mean, he's still working. He was still trying to snag Devontae? Yeah, I think it was Devontae Adams or somebody else from me. No, he was trying to snag Bijan Robinson. Could you imagine?
I asked you what you wanted for Devontae. You said you didn't want to part with Devontae. I said okay. So then
I'm waiting,
and then you're saying, oh, I didn't get a message from Jeff about a fantasy football trade. I'm like, I literally talked to you on air about this last week, and you told me to go kick rocks. So
Jeff, I just love busting your balls, buddy. But I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, my team is 2-3.
And we play each other this week, and my team's 3-2. This is a big swing week for both of us,
But I mean, come on, let's see. Lamar Jackson, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, T. Higgins, Evan Ingram, if he ever plays, Deontay Johnson, Evan Singletary, Hopkins, Devontae Adams. I mean, Josh Downs, Mike Williams, Caleb Williams. Like that team is stacked. Like so, when I was looking at trades. I mean, obviously the wide receiver 3, but when Devontae gets back, I mean, my starting lineup is Lamar Jackson, Kamara, Robinson, Higgins, Devontae Adams, Evan Ingram, and Johnson and Singletary. How do you improve on that without giving up something major, right? I mean, I just don't see that's that's I told I said I want to wait and see where Devontae Adams lands. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be without him for probably 3 weeks. And the injuries, I mean, Evan Ingram not playing since week 1. I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on.
Quarterback's going to be tough going forward, too, as long as Lamar Jackson doesn't play the Bengals every week. That might be an issue. But other than that, you'll probably be fine.
I still beg to differ on that. I know that you've shit on Lamar Jackson, but he is the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. 39 points, 21, 30, 30, 50. I think that's pretty consistent.
He's a good RB1, and then when he plays a poor passing defense, he becomes, really, really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, low side, you're looking at 21. I mean, it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a must-win for me. I love how I'm just in this position every time by week 5. Usually I'm knocked out right now, 1-4.
Well, usually you have emotionally given up, just like Mike Fitzpatrick has this year already. Kid is going through it, man. Thoughts and prayers out there to Mike Fitzpatrick as he battles internally on whether or not he is done playing fantasy football for the rest of his life anymore as well.
I can't be too upset. I'm tied for 7th. I have the 4th overall highest points. Like, I can't be too upset.
Usually you mentally check out around this time. So,
well, usually my team is done by this time, and there's no chance to make the playoffs because
usually you draft Aaron Rodgers as your starting quarterback. And
last year I had Aaron Rodgers and I had Aaron Rodgers and Anthony Richardson both done by week 3. I mean, where do you go from there? What a crazy season it has,
or make a trade.
Yeah, okay, thank you. What a crazy season it's been so far in the NFL. I mean, if this shit is scripted, I don't know what the script means for this. We did have our first coach fired this year. Which I mean, paint me red.
Justifiably so.
I didn't be there, justifiably and not. So we're going to get into this a little bit here. Robert Saleh was fired in New York. Apparently, he was going to relieve Nathaniel Hackett of his play calling duties. Obviously, he never was not addressed the team and was immediately escorted out by security. Now, the owners come out and said that this was doing alone. before we get into the other little twist here, I just want to say this: Robert Saleh does have his issues, right? He hasn't provided the best coach. Has he been put in the best situation? No. I mean, he had Zach Wilson for a while, which to me, obviously, is Zach Wilson, which is another road that we can go down as far as what these rookie quarterbacks go into in their development. Their offensive line is still obviously terrible. You thought coming in Aaron Rodgers to me just has no synergy with his wide receivers, even his pretty boy, Alan Lazard, that he, coddled and brought over to make sure that he had somebody. His timing with Garrett Wilson there, I don't know if that has to do with, once again, no preseason action, or what the synergy is in there. But my issue is with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay. He had arguably probably one of the better coaches in Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. And as Jeff pointed out numerous times on the show, Matt LaFleur had his hands tied behind his back with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers wants what Aaron Rodgers wants. And what is that? I have no idea. So if I'm the New York Football Jets, he wanted Nathaniel Hackett, by the way. Let Aaron Rodgers develop the offensive play scheme. I'm going to let Aaron Rodgers have full control over the line. You, whatever you want to call, whatever you see, you're a veteran, you've been around a long time, and we'll see what happens. My biggest issue is this, though. As great and talented as Aaron Rodgers is, this is a man with one NFC championship, one Super Bowl, and arguably the stretch that he had in the NFC championship runs and everything else he had was arguably the worst division in football. The Detroit Lions were absolute garbage. The Minnesota Vikings were absolute garbage. And the Chicago Bears were absolute garbage. And he still struggled to dominate that division, but he did win a lot. He owned the Chicago Bears. He retired from the NFC North owning the Chicago Bears. But one NFC championship out of that run, one Super Bowl, but now he has the complete autonomy to do everything on his own. I don't like it. It's shit. We'll see what happens over there. But your thoughts on the initial situation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Robert Saleh has been one of the worst head coaches in the NFL since he got there. Now, he is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And so I still think he'll be able to land on his feet. I know we talked about, it looks like I think he'll take about a month off, and I think he'll end up landing as an analyst in San Francisco, and then progressing from there, end up being the defensive coordinator next year when their DC ultimately gets a job somewhere else, as they do every single year. They lose their defensive coordinator to a head coach.
I don't know the way that 49ers defense is playing.
Maybe not this year.
Chicago now, probably hire him.
Maybe. I do think that, it's an unfortunate situation for Saleh. Obviously, you put all your chips in on Zach Wilson when you first get there. That obviously doesn't work out. You transition, you bring in the perennial great quarterback that we all think that Aaron Rodgers is. Tears his Achilles week 1. Now you have year 2 not going as planned. I just think there's a lot of disconnect there. I think there's disconnect that we've seen between Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers when it came to before the season started. I think Nathaniel Hackett was a guy who, got hired in Denver because they thought that was the guy that Aaron Rodgers would want to play for. He's been incredibly disappointing the entire time as well. Now they bring in a guy in Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich, who was drafted to the NFL in 2000, who was a linebacker, played for, I want to say, 10 years, and then ended up transitioning into coaching, has gone through this journey with Saleh, has been the DC there for a while. And if there's been one shining light on the New York Jets, it has been their defense. And so I'm not sure the way that translates. I always hate doing this when you don't have a plan. It just seems like you're kind of throwing shit at the wall. And I think TJ is exactly right with what he said. Seems like the Jets' problem is with ownership. The team has sucked for the past 15 years with Woody Johnson. A guy who Johnson & Johnson, obviously, we all know is the big pharmaceutical company. Seems like he just kind of had this thing fall into his lap, able to go buy the team. It sucks, man. It sucks. And I know Jets fans are really passionate about their team. And listen, we can say Aaron Rodgers was a great quarterback, but was he ever? I mean, he makes incredible throws. He makes these off balance, off plane, whatever throws that are incredible. But you're right. One NFC championship, one Super Bowl. Is that what we're looking at for success? Is that the measure of success here? I just think that, especially with the talent around him, we can talk about how, we don't think that the Packers did enough to put great pieces around him. End of the day, when Rodgers left the Jets, he wanted those shitty pieces that we talked about to go with him to New York. So you can say whatever you want. I actually just traded for Alan Lazard in the league. In a little package deal that was kind of a throw-in. Alan Lazard is the 24th ranked wide receiver in fantasy football this year, which is kind of incredible. He's getting a lot of targets every single game.
It's his clutch, and that's my issue with it. There was a lot of it. There was a lot of times it seemed to be when Aaron Rodgers didn't like the play call, and you could tell that Garrett Wilson was the number one target. He never even looked at him. He was just focused in on Lazard and Lazard only. Now, whether that's because that's his comfort level, I don't know, but it just doesn't seem to me like it's just not a cohesive environment. I think we can all agree on that.
No, 100%. And where does the toxicity leave, right? Like Saleh shouldn't be the guy who the toxicity surrounded around. Now you will have like a raw moment where everybody comes together and let's go ahead and play for culture, all break or whatever. But I don't think it was the decisions that Robert Saleh was making that ultimately cost this team games or wins. I didn't see anything egregious in terms of end of game management or in terms of the way that he was handling everything. And so that's why for me it's like what's going to change exactly here. And listen, I guess we'll find out what's going to change here going forward. I believe they're on a bye week this week, correct?
I have no idea.
Let me check real quick.
While you're checking on that, this was the little that has been thrown out that I didn't catch, and I don't know if anybody else caught. But Robert was wearing a Lebanese flag on his outfit, and you can see right there. There's the Lebanese flag. Obviously, Israel is bombing Lebanon at this time. I don't know if he's native from there. I don't know. I'm ignorant on that situation, so don't hold me accountable for that. But there's a lot of people out there saying that was the reason that he was fired. Nothing else other than the fact he's wearing that flag. Obviously, you can see here Robert Saleh wearing Lebanese flag on outfit played a part in Jets firing. Obviously, this is the New York Post. We know which way that propaganda machine leads.
Yes.
But with the way that this world is, I don't know what the owner's dissent is. I don't know anything of that nature, but I mean that could have been the icing on the cake, especially when the owner comes out and said this was all my decision, had nothing to do with anybody else. Robert Saleh was getting ready to make a change on the offensive side, which we just talked about. The defense has been relatively good, top 10 defense over the past few years that he has been there. However, it's been offensive issues. So he goes to make the change. Not today, Satan. You are gone. We'll see what happens. What are your thoughts on the Lebanese flag?
The Lebanese flag, I have no clue. I didn't even know there was a conflict with Lebanon until I heard somebody talk about them sending aid to Lebanon instead of giving. I don't know. I have no clue. No clue. I have no idea about any of it. So I really don't want to expound or speak on it.
Political world we live on.
I will say the Jets do play this week. They do not have a bye as the Minnesota Vikings do, coming from London. The Jets play Monday Night Football. This coming Monday night, they are playing the Buffalo Bills at home. Yeah.
Go Bills. There was a time over the past season that I actually enjoyed Aaron Rodgers. I enjoyed, obviously, his earthy tone and the way that he tries to, get in there. And, I said that if he probably wasn't a Packer, I could probably get behind him. But as I've always said, though, it's always a great feeling when he loses. So I'm going to stick with that.
Give me the Jets this week. Give me the Jets this week.
We shall see. We shall see. Who is this guy? I don't know who that is, but whatever. Well, let's get into some regular action. Unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to the Atlanta Falcons 36-30 in overtime. If you follow the show, if you've heard, you know that this is my pet peeve. You have the ball, you're up. I'm always just throttle it, man. Just put your foot on their throat and don't play to lose or don't play to win. Once again, we have it. I'm sorry, this guy's just like over my truck. What are you doing? Get out of here.
You can go talk to him. I can.
Nah, I got it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the ball up. They literally have to get a first down, and the game is over.
Yes.
So what do? That now, I will say this: the Atlanta Falcons did have all 3 timeouts, so they run the ball 3 times in the exact same spot, the exact same way, and get stuffed all 3 times. Give them the ball. And then, as every NFL team does, they play that soft ass coverage, and the team literally goes right down. I think 2 plays. They were already in field goal range. To me, we'll talk about the overtime rules, but let's just get the first down.
Well,
Baker Mayfield has been playing very, very good. You've got the weapons. Okay, I understand. Okay, run it the first time. Make him use a timeout. Maybe the second time, hey, let's do a little play action where it looks like we're running the same play. We kick a timeout, we get 5 yards. Okay, now we're at 3rd and 5, and that gives us a little bit more options. We could run a sweep. We could do anything. Something, man. Give the ball to your playmakers and let them win you the game. Instead, you turn it over to the defense that's been absolutely torched the entire game. Over 500 yards by Kirk Cousins. In what world did Todd Bowles think that they were going to stop the Atlanta Falcons?
It got to 500 at the end. Okay, let's not act like the Bucs weren't playing okay up until then.
How are they playing okay, allowing 28 points and over 400 yards at that point?
It's a little bit of revisionist history from you right here. Okay? Let's keep in mind.
One more pause. Mooney had 2 big drops that were another 60 yards.
Correct. I'm not discounting that as well, too. Trust me. In this recent trade that I made, I was trying to procure. I ended up getting Jordan Love back for Josh Allen, but I was trying to procure Darnell Mooney as well as Cousins as well, too, because I thought I could get that combo. That could be, a good play as well. Instead, I end up getting Love and Debo and whatever. But I agree. I thought Atlanta looked very well. I didn't think that we got Cousins off of his mark enough. I thought his decision-making was incredible. It was quick, especially coming off of a short week as well, too. I thought Atlanta looked great, honestly. Drake London, I sent out this thing. This guy put out this parlay about how this was going to be the easiest game to bet, the Bucs and the Falcons. And he gave 5 picks, and it was like Cousins under, Bijan Robinson's overs, Drake London's unders, Chris Godwin's overs. It was like he literally went over 5. Hilarious. This is why, like, these accounts that you guys follow that have 500,000, and this is the easiest game I've ever seen to bet in my entire life. Shut the fuck up. When I say revisionist history, it's because the Bucs had the ball. The game was being sullied away. We give the ball to one of our incredible rookies, Bucky Irving, 4th-round pick out of Oregon. He's been incredible. He fumbles. Unfortunate. Okay. Now, that being said, you still get a chance to put the game away, right? You get the pick. The game is over. Yes, they have timeouts, but listen, all you need is a first down. I understand. Here's where, to me, the game changed a little bit. All right. You had the holding call and the non-face mask call. And I understand there's 15 plays that go on in that, but that is a 10-yard change that takes you from being able to kick a field goal to not being able to kick a field goal. And if you remember, they threw a screen pass there as well, too, to Rachaad White. It wasn't like they ran the ball 3 times in a row. They did throw the screen pass because remember, Mike Evans is running down the middle of the field with nobody within 20 yards of him with his hand wide up. And Baker, I know Baker, he's going to look back and think this game's on me, right? Like that's Baker's mentality and how he's going to be. It's obviously not. It was a screen pass. They wanted to check down. They wanted to make sure they took the safe play.
They wanted to make sure they got the completion.
Correct. You want to keep the ball in bounds. Now, if you're to tell me that Kirk is going to come with 3 plays in a row, boom, 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 and spike the ball with 1 second left, and Young Hoku comes out, and after getting a field goal blocked, I believe that they blocked one, didn't they? Yes. I think they blocked one on Thursday night, and he missed one on Thursday night, and then he comes out, boom, nails, hits it. Atlanta's going crazy. They win the coin toss. From there, it was just like, quicksand, man. Like there's nothing you can do. And they hit the slant. Hodge goes on a perfect play. And if you watch Levante David, he is maybe like not even a half second too late. They're playing zone. He drops out of the zone, sees exactly where the ball's going, dives for it, just misses it. Hodge gets it, boom, turns it up, and then that's the end of the game. Kudos to the Atlanta Falcons. Congratulations to you. Very happy for you. Not really. Go fuck yourself, Kirk Cousins. The fact that you run the locker room and do the how you like that shit too. Again.
Oh, he did that?
Oh yeah, like a fucking douchebag.
It's different when it's against you,
dude, because it's the second time. Like he's never done it except for against the Bucks. He did it with the Skins, and now he does it with the Falcons. And it's just like
that was the same game that he initially did. That was against the Bucks.
Yeah, it was the Washington Redskins. We were up like 28 to. It was 28 to 7. I don't know. We were up by like 24 points in the second half, and he comes back with 3 touchdowns in an OT win and hits that. That was when the how you like that originated, and then for him to bring it back out, 10 years later, just makes me want to go slap his fucking bitch ass.
Like I said,
anyway, congrats. Congrats.
Finish the game, Bucks. And then the overtime rules, to me, I just think that this is completely outdated. I think it's asinine. They're only going to play 1 quarter anyway, right? We've already said if it's tied after the quarter, then it's a tie. It's absolutely asinine to me. Yes, you can say stop them on defense, but it's not that easy, right?
Turn the game clock off.
Yeah, and for somebody else, well, no, I don't agree with that. I'm just saying if they're going to play a full quarter, right? Because you only get a quarter. So
why? Why do we have ties?
That's a whole nother situation.
Turn the game clock off is my opinion. Keep the play clock on. Turn the game clock off. All right. Both teams have an ability to touch the ball no matter what happens.
I think I like this.
That's it.
So let's just say this. So let's just say each team goes down. Okay, so the first team gets a touchdown.
Chat. Right? What are your thoughts? Next Buff, TJ, Justice. What are your thoughts? How should the NFL rules go?
The next team goes down, gets another touchdown, right? So now we're at touchdown. Next possession, that team gets a touchdown. The next team gets a touchdown. We start with 50-yard field goals, and we just start going backwards. It's just like hockey and shootouts, just like goalie and shit. You know what? So you got a kicker that can hit a 60-yarder. There it is. Boom.
So TJ says he loves the overtime rules. If you can't stop them, you don't deserve to win. Obviously, we both kind of disagree with that. I mean, if you're a home team and you get the ball, it's like, you got all the momentum. What are you going to do? Justice says he wants it exactly like college. I'm okay on that as well, too. I think there's a happy medium somewhere in there. It's obviously not hard to score a touchdown, TJ. Fucking Falcons did it in 25 seconds.
Absolutely. Well, who the Bucks? Oh, so the Bucks are playing the Saints this week, and no Derek Carr.
No Derek Carr. But did you see Horner?
To me.
Huh?
The line is super fishy to me.
What is it?
3.5.
Did you see Horner at the end of that game?
No.
Their backup. So, like, the one guy I don't really want to play is Spencer Rattler, just because we have a terrible history against rookie quarterbacks. The Horner kid, though.
Did I watch him play? I thought she threw a dime to Shaheed or something. He also threw some good ones to Kamara, but to me, those guys had already given up at that point. Like, Kamara didn't make any effort. It was over at that point, so I don't think they really cared. But he threw a couple dime passes. That's for
it's a scary game this week. That's all I'm going to say. But
I already hammered the Bucks. Whoops.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, because I took it at -3, then it went to 3.5, and I'm like,
okay, so you moved the line.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, this just seems fishy. No Derek Carr. Bucks are just have proven to be a better team on paper. I just don't understand. We'll see.
You know what's interesting to me though is that they didn't hang a line before this game ended, right? Like if you looked on it, there was no line that said not available. You would have hung the line at -3 Tampa Bay anyway with Derek Carr, right?
That's what I'm saying. A half a point.
Why would you not just hang the -3? And then if Carr gets hurt, now you're going to have all this money coming on Tampa anyway. But then you're just going to move it half a point.
Yeah, that's right. I just think it hasn't moved enough for me. I would think it would need to be like 4.5. But we'll see what happens. The Chicago
At what point
Bears.
Would you bet it the other way?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Maybe 6.5, 7. Maybe a full touchdown. It's in Tampa Bay, right?
It is in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Well, the Carolina
Which is
Panthers come.
Probably a good
Go
thing
ahead.
because who knows if Tampa will have a stadium.
Yeah, good point. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens. The Carolina Panthers come into Chicago, and Daddy Poles and Caleb Williams throttle them on the trade, and they throttle them on the field. 36-10. Caleb Williams, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Bears look like they're starting to get some stuff together. However, I am going to pump the brakes. This is against the Carolina Panthers. This is probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. No Brian Burns. Not Brian Burns. Who's their linebacker? One of their starting linebackers out. I can't remember what his name is.
Jack Thompson.
They have a couple of injuries over there, so I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit here. I'm not ready to crown Caleb Williams of anything. However, this is exactly what we see. The progression from week to week to week. We saw DJ Moore get more involved. Keenan Allen actually caught a couple of passes. Romo Dunze was there, and the backfield is what's really, really standing out to me with DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert now turning some punts. I want to see Coleman involved in the offense as well. If you watch him return any of his punts, absolute speedster coming out of there. I think there's a lot of weapons that they have that they just need to integrate. Coleman, number 11.
I thought you said Cohen.
No,
I was like, I didn't know Tariq Cohen.
Tariq Cohen. No, he did come back this year, and actually he retired again. So Bears are looking good. Bears do go over the pond this week against Jacksonville. It's a Bears home game, but let's be honest, it'll probably be a Jacksonville home game just because Jacksonville's been over there forever. I think it's going to be a very tough game for them. Jacksonville coming off of their first win of the season. It's a shaky game, man. I don't like it at all. I still think that they should win. I want to see some more progression from the Shane Waldron offense. I want to see some more movement. I want to see some more crossing routes. I don't see any of the drag routes across the field. Now, that's because of the zone versus the man coverage. I'm not really sure, but I don't really see any of those plays. There's nothing really in the middle of the field. It's all to the outsides. So we'll see what happens over there. Hopefully the Bears can get it done in London against Jacksonville.
You said that Juwan Johnson is out?
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson, I'm sorry?
Yep. Concussion.
I think that's Brisker. I'm looking at the injury report. I don't see Johnson on it.
I'm sorry. Jaquan Brisker is out. I apologize.
Yeah.
Jaquan Brisker is out with a concussion.
Brisker's out. Terrell Smith is out. Zach Pickens out as well, too. Listen, I think I agree. Listen, congrats to Caleb Williams. The progression looks like it's there. This will be a big game. Obviously, the Jags DBs have looked terrible this year. And so I want to see how Caleb comes out and plays. DJ Moore should have a distinct advantage over the DBs. But I think the bright spots for Jacksonville are there as well, too. If you look at, we talked about the game that Jacksonville played against Indianapolis and about how being up by as much as they were, having Indy come back, we said if Indianapolis wins this game, heads are rolling.
Everyone's fired.
Peterson's gone. What? It's over. Break it down, rebuild, go get Travis Hunter in the offseason and figure it out. Now, the fact that they showed resilience and came back and won, I thought was really big for Jacksonville as well, too. And I think they found something here. I've been saying, just as I've said that, listen, I love DeAndre Swift and I love what he's been doing. But I think that when you look at it, you have a really good running back in Roschon Johnson as well, too. And a guy who runs in between the tackles very well. I think both of them together is a great change of pace. Same thing with Jacksonville. You have Tank Bigsby, who is an incredible runner, looks really, really good. And then you have Etienne as well, too. You got to let both of them get burned. You can't have one get 20 carries and one get 5. That is not the mathematical equation that seems to work for these teams. So keep them fresh, keep them moving. Both teams, I think, are going to be able to run the ball a little bit here in this game. I do think it's a big game, in my opinion, for Chicago. A big game because you're going across the pond. I don't know. Like,
we just got to keep the momentum up.
Your -2 over under is 45.5, which it opened at 43. So it's moved 2 full points toward the over, which I don't mind as well. Both quarterbacks very comparable so far. I thought Trevor Lawrence looked like a stud last week.
I think that the total jumping
team. So we will take it with a grain of salt because it is against Indy, and they are one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So we'll take it with a grain of salt and see kind of how this plays out this week. Your thoughts on how the game will go?
I really have no idea how the game will go. I think that
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate for Trevor Lawrence that they're going to go up against the Bears defense in that secondary that's eating. Obviously, with the injury report and Brisker being out, that does help. But I mean, overall, the Chicago Bears secondary have pretty much shut down most of the wide receivers that they have faced. So we'll see what happens up there. It's going to be a very uneventful game. You know, I think that the total, to your point, I think that's a reaction of the Bears putting up 30 plus last week. I mean, we're looking at what, so we're at 46, so 23. So, I mean, you're literally one point then with the spread. So you're really looking at what, 28-25 is somewhere around the point of what's going to be. 28 points is still a lot. We'll see which Jacksonville defense up. Is it the one that's going to just get thrown all around the yard, or is it the one that's going to I don't know. I think to your point, it's a very scary situation for the Chicago Bears. This is very important. You got a very hungry Jacksonville team that's coming off 1-4. Obviously, we're going to talk about this later. You know, 1-4 teams have at a 2-5 that have hit that have only made the playoffs 15. 15 teams out of those. So, I mean, to your point as well, everyone is coaching for their lives still in Jacksonville. So they're definitely going to be, it's definitely a team, you know, as the owner said, this is one of the best teams that they've ever had on paper and coaching. It needs to do its job. Every fantasy team that I draft, I put together the best team possible every single year. They have to go out and play. And I think that that's exactly the money that he has there. So it's going to be a very interesting game.
This might be the most talented wide receiver core as well, too, that they've gone against in terms of the Bears. In terms of how talented they are as a whole.
As long as Shane Waldron gets them together.
So Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, really good.
You did mention the Jacksonville Colts game. Obviously, the Jags do get the first win of the season, 37-34. I'm going to pose a little question to you for here that we've talked about in the pre-show. Are the Colts a better team with Joe Flacco commanding the offense?
Yes.
I 100% agree. As much as I love AR, we said this from the beginning that he was going to be an absolute project. And that project is slow moving at this point. His decision-making abilities and where he throws the ball has inept at times. I know that he's going to come back. If I'm the Colts, I don't bring him back right away. I let him get completely healthy for what he is. Joe Flacco is doing a good job. When you put up 34 points, it's not the offense, it is the defense. You need to focus on that side. How can you shut be a big test? So we'll see what happens with them moving forward. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's wild to watch Flacco and just how calm he is and how effortless these deep balls are for him. And listen, I was a guy who was a big proponent of A.D. Mitchell going into this year. I loved him. I thought he was an incredibly talented wide receiver from Texas. I can't do it anymore. Between Josh Downs being back with Alec Pierce and the fact that Joe Flacco is just completely enamored with Michael Pittman Jr., you got to let him go.
Alec Pierce, bro. Woo.
If he's on your fantasy roster, which is what I thought A.D. Mitchell was going to be, because he's a burner. He's a good guy, big guy, got good size, good hands. And I think he had like a 27% snap share last week. And
yeah, so there's just not enough.
If your guy's playing 1 out of every 4 downs and you're hoping to get 4 targets a game, it's not a mathematical equation for success. If he's on your fantasy team, I'd go ahead and drop him and let him go.
Absolutely.
But keep him monitored, because if anybody gets injured in that wide receiver core, obviously they like to throw the ball. Shane Steichen is a genius. Keep that in mind for you as well, too.
Josh Allen goes into Houston and loses to the Texans 20-23. The CJ Stroud story continues.
Yeah.
This was a juicy game. This is a game that we thought was going to be high in scoring. We thought that Josh Allen was going to put up, and I do believe at one point it was 20-3 Texans. Josh Allen takes a big hit on his noggin. And when I saw it live, I sent it out to the group. I said, Josh Allen's done, at least for the game. And then, much to my dismay, Jeff put, well, he's back out on the field. So,
yeah,
he got hit hard. That bell got rung. I know that there's been some questions from some neurological doctors on X in regards to he needs to be evaluated. That was a hard hit, man. And he didn't have the Tua painting pose. However, he was out. So
he was out.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think you said as well, the Bills have a big game going in this week. They definitely need Josh Allen.
So this game, I thought for sure. I mean, I was like, oh, the Bills will show up. They'll score points. Houston's going to score points, which Houston did. They came out really hot, and they kind of cooled it down. Obviously, the Nico Collins injury is something that majorly affects everything. You could see how important he is to that offense when he goes out with the hamstring. Now it makes things a little bit different because now you have Diggs and you have Tank Dell, who are two guys who are not that big X playing. It'd be interesting to see how long Nico misses. Hopefully he's back soon because, man, that kid is one of the most
on the IR.
talents. And did he go to IR? I saw he was out, but I didn't see that he went on IR. So that's incredibly unfortunate.
Yep. Out for at least the next 4 games.
I went ahead and traded away Josh Allen this week. Has nothing to do with the concussion thing. Let me read you the Bills schedule.
Well, first of all, Jeffrey, before you go into this, you don't have to justify much shit as you talked about Josh Allen. The fact that you drafted him on his team for us was just absolutely wild to begin with. So you're good.
Let me just say this. Going forward, here's Josh Allen's schedule. Okay? The Jets, not a great matchup. The Titans, say what you will, that defensive line can play. They have Ladarius Sneed on the back end as well, too. Linebackers are okay. Their defense is not that bad. Seahawks have been okay, except for obviously what we've seen last week against the New York Giants. So maybe that we'll put that in the plus category, right? Dolphins, pretty decent defense. Colts, that's 2 pluses right now. Then you go Chiefs, Niners, Rams, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Patriots to finish the year. For me, I'm looking at fantasy playoffs, and I'm looking at a guy who I can't start in the fantasy playoffs and trust 100% like I have. I just think the weapons are going to get to him. I think the concussion thing maybe plays a bit into it, but I don't love the schedule going forward. I don't love the weapons that are around him right now. I don't love his continuity in that football team, the way things are playing out. And I think this is when the Bills season starts to take a little bit of a dive here.
We shall see what happens. One season that is on the up is the Baltimore Ravens going into Cincinnati 41-38 in overtime. This also puts the Bengals at 1-4, which we talked about again. Out of 255 teams that have started 1-4 since 1929 or whatever the hell the stat was, only 15 have made the playoffs. I would have to say I like Bengals' opportunity to make the playoffs more than the Jags. Lamar Jackson just ate that defense up. As Jeffrey likes to point out, Lamar Jackson doesn't throw the ball or can't throw the ball unless he plays a terrible defense. 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. My biggest thing, again, is Derrick Henry able to open up that passing game with what he does. He breaks it. I mean, I do believe that one big touchdown that I don't know if it was this week or the week before, like he was touching like the top 40-yard speed. Nobody could catch him. It just boggles my mind that more teams were not involved, especially at the price point that the Baltimore Ravens got them. Dallas Cowboys, what are you doing? You should have thrown the kitchen sink at this guy. I think we did see a Mark Andrews sighting, by the way. We saw a Mark Andrews sighting.
What did he have, 1 catch?
No, I think he had like 4.
He didn't have a catch until like the 4th quarter, I want to say.
Nah.
I'm telling you.
I'm looking now. Where is he at? Mark Andrews, 4 for 55 yards, baby. The tight ends are back. Woo! We'll see if that continuity continues. You would think with the weapons like this. Now, obviously, Zay Flowers is the deal, right? Zay Flowers is their primary weapon, Tyreek Hill type speedy all around the field. You have Isaiah Likely as well as Mark Andrews. Dude, if you're the Ravens for a 2nd round pick, do you go get Devontae Adams?
Sure. Hypothetically, they're such a run-first team. They're such a run-first, check-down team that I don't know how much it would really help you, honestly.
Well, if nothing else, it would spread out and take the safeties and deeper to allow you to have more space in that check-down game, correct?
Okay. If that's the thought process you want to take, sure. But I mean, that also takes you thinking that they're only going to play a 2-man under the entire time and play 2 high safeties and try to want you to check down. What I would do if I was the coordinator is I would want to challenge Lamar to try to beat me over the top of everything is what I would try to do. But That's just me.
But when you look at the receiving core of the Baltimore Ravens, who is your deep threat anyway? Zay Flowers, yes, Flowers, Bateman, and that's it. Kohler, I don't know who Kohler is. I don't even know who Kohler is. But yes, you have 2 tight ends and Zay Flowers in your primary target. I would say that bringing in Devontae Adams gives you that deep threat. And if nothing else, it's going to carry some attention away from these and the corners to be able to double team possibly Devontae Adams. And if they don't, that's a deep threat that you still have. I think that putting Devontae Adams on this team, and I'm not just saying this because I have Lamar Jackson, I'm just saying I
and Devontae Adams.
Oh, and I have Devontae Adams as well. I think it's a no-brainer. I really do. For a second-round pick for a team that is starting to find its groove, to add a deep threat, to be able to pull the safeties away, to give, you can't put all those people in the box to Derrick Henry. And if you do, then you got Devontae Adams or Zay Flowers on one-on-one coverage that you could easily burn. I think it's a no-brainer, but, obviously – I'm only the best fantasy GM that there's ever been, so I don't know what these GMs think about when they go to do that, so we'll see what happens over there. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals for a second.
Yep.
Arguably one of the worst defenses.
They're giving up 31 points a game.
I mean, can the Bengals – obviously we think that, out of the 1 and 4 teams, the Cincinnati have the best opportunity, but can they overcome that defense throughout the rest of the year? They're a dead last division. We definitely didn't see that.
I will say
Steelers on top either.
Right. And I'll say this. Yes, they have given up 31 points a game so far this year. Really bad. However, if you look at the rest of their schedule, right? Giants, Browns, Eagles, Raiders, Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers. Okay. That's a lot of ugly football games that are going to be in there, and a top 5 offense that is going to be playing in those ugly games. I will like to be on the Cincinnati Bengals side most of the time, unless it comes down to the Ravens or the Cowboys. Maybe the Eagles game as well, too.
Well, I will tell you the Steelers will give them a little bit of problems with their defense. Not saying that the Steelers score them, but that Steelers defense is shutting people down. What they allow? 13 points to the Cowboys? 20 points to the Cowboys?
I just don't see... Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see it. If you do have Zach Moss or if Chase Brown's on your waiver wire, though, go pick up Chase Brown. He will be getting monster load of the work going forward as well.
Absolutely.
I'll probably make a bet today on the Bengals to make the playoffs.
Can we bring that up and see what those odds are?
If you give me a second.
Oh, I'm giving you all the time that you need, buddy, because I gotta see this one. I do it with team futures, right? Super Bowl regular season to reach the playoffs. I'm already way ahead of you here.
You have to make the playoffs. I'm already there.
I don't
plus
like
140.
I think
so. It's like
that at all.
Not even better. Barely better than even money to make the playoffs. Like I think.
Yeah, that's terrible.
They understand the thought process that I'm on as well too.
Meanwhile, the others are plus 350
to make the playoffs.
Yeah, so you can see the disparity there. Washington Commanders continue to roll. You gotta love if you're a Commanders fan. Jaden Daniels continues to impress. On the other side, you have the Cleveland Browns, which are just on the edge of absolute implosion. Now, before we talk about the Commanders, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns for a second here. Obviously, Deshaun Watson could be the worst contract in NFL history. I think most people have already consensus that is the worst contract ever in football history. He has not played. I don't understand it. From what we saw in Houston, I think, all of his personal distractions, maybe not football for a year. I don't know, but the guy just seems lost out there, and they have a lot of good pieces around him. I don't know. Is it time to blow up the Cleveland Browns? Do you trade Myles Garrett? Do you trade Amari Cooper? What are you doing if you're the Browns GM here? Obviously, you're still stuck with Deshaun Watson. You're not getting around that. But a Cleveland defense that we have usually seen shut people down is just torched.
You got to figure something out and find a way for somebody to charge him with something so you can get out of this contract. I don't know how you do it. You got to figure it out, though, one way or another. When it comes to Deshaun, he's terrible. He's so bad. Like, if Jameis was to come in, that would be an interesting football team. They have a good defense. They get pressure on the quarterback. They have a decent secondary, but you cannot overcome the ineptitude of how bad the quarterback play has been.
At least if
Jameis
Winston comes in, there'd be some flashes, right? I mean, they still might suck just as bad. Jameis might throw just as many bad passes, but he's going to get one of them that's like 50 yards downfield to give you a little bit of hope, right?
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, I would blow it up if I was them, but you can't blow it up because you're committed to this guy for the foreseeable future. And so you have to just continuously run it out there and hope for the best. Like I said, I'm sure Kevin Stefanski is just losing his mind over and over and over again at the fact that this is what the hand that he's been dealt. When he gets dealt the hand that's not Deshaun Watson, you see what he does with Joe Flacco, right? Which is go in, ball out, make the playoffs. I mean, it's so unfortunate for this guy. I hope that he doesn't lose his job over this.
You want to take a stab at what Deshaun Watson's QBR rating is for the season?
I'm going to say under 40.
Oh, yeah. Take a stab.
What's go
a perfect QBR, 150? 115, something like that?
I think 115. I'm going to go the way I said under 40 and you said, oh, yeah. I'm going to go 32.
158.3 is considered a perfect QBR. That's a passer rating, though. I don't know if that's anybody in the chat. Anybody want to put one out there? What is your guess?
Passer rating is part of QBR.
Yeah, but it's not
built in with QBR.
Anybody want to take a shot? What Deshaun Watson? You can't Google it, guys. All right, there's 5 people watching. There's probably thousands more that are just underneath the radar because that's how they calculate it. 21 is his QBR. His QBR last week was an 8.5. His highest of the season so far has been against the Las Vegas Raiders at a 40.3.
Here we go.
Bro, you cannot. I mean, I don't have the complete stats over here. I don't know where the 3-time is today. 3-time, if you're on there watching, I don't know. Jump in. You're doing okay, buddy.
You know what's interesting? I just looked up Buffalo Bills to make the playoffs. You know what the no is? Plus 475.
Ooh, that's interesting. And I will say this, also, Deshaun Watson is the 31st rank. So there is a quarterback worse than Deshaun Watson at a 21 QBR.
Skylar Thompson.
Any shot who you think that would be?
I'm going to say Skylar Thompson. Is it a starting quarterback?
I don't know. I'm trying to find it.
I don't know. We got to move on.
We do need to move on. But now I need to know. Where is QBR? I don't know. It might be Anthony Richardson. It might be Anthony Richardson. I don't know. We'll see what happens over there. The other big upset that we had coming in, though, the 49ers go down again to the Arizona Cardinals with baby bottle. Kyler Murray with his new Call of Duty deal, which he thanked everybody. So that was directly to you. Thank you, Jeff, for getting that bag. What is wrong in San Francisco?
Why do you think me? What did I say that was so wrong about him? I gave out facts.
You just said that he enjoys Call of Duty more than football.
I said I don't know if he loves football as much as
Well,
he should.
You weren't the only one, so they all come out and boom, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Now he has a deal with Call of Duty. It is what it is. But more importantly, Jeff, what is going on with San Francisco 49ers? Don't tell me
we could bring on some 49ers experts to talk about this. I don't really know. I don't know if it's I don't know. I mean, the defense isn't great. Offensively, like Debo's not really involved at all. Obviously, McCaffrey being out hurts, but Brock doesn't look great.
But they've gotten some good production out of their plug and play that they had in there. I can't remember his name, but they've gotten some good production out of him. Yeah.
Trey Mason. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think it was
Very
just a crap
interesting out
game,
there.
honestly, too. Because look, they were up, they were dominating
That was
that
at
game,
home.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. They just scored a touchdown. Oh, wait a minute. They're within this. Oh, wait a minute. Now they're winning. Oh, it just kind of happened really quickly, it seemed like. And, I think they just got caught off guard. I would expect a big bounce back this week. Let's see. They have Seattle tomorrow night. Okay. San Francisco -3.5. Seattle coming off of a terrible loss. And then another tough loss. I don't know.
I think it's a little deeper than that, to be perfectly honest with you. If you look the way that the Rams game ended and how they lost that game, just the deep ball, exact same thing that happened in Arizona over here. I think that they have some serious issues in the secondary and their defensive scheme play calling, which is probably why San Francisco 49er fan base is drooling at the fact to try to bring Robert Saleh back as their defensive coordinator. Obviously, there's a big connection there. I think they got some on defense, man. And, I say it again, when you put up X amount of points, you should win football games. 3 is right there, 23-28, somewhere around there. You should be winning football games. I don't know.
Can I say this?
Goliath is dead.
Over under is 49.5 tomorrow night. That seems like a lot for a divisional game. And I'll say this.
Well,
if you look at the 3 wins that the Seahawks had to start the year, right? Denver, they won 26-20. New England, they went 23-20 in OT, and then they beat the Miami Dolphins without Tua 24-23. They lose to the Lions, score 29 points. They lose to the Giants, score 20 points.
Geno Smith has been pretty much the story out of Seattle. I mean, he's just having he's got a great QBR. I think he was number 1 in fantasy for a while, as far as what he's producing over there. But
a lot of questions on the defense this week as well, too. Give me the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow night.
Another big upset. The New York Football Giants did go to Seattle and beat them 29-20. I think the biggest story here is the Giants finding their feet. We saw some bad play out of week 1 and 2, which we see across the board in the NFL. But to me, I think that, I think the New York Football Giants are finding their feet here. I think that they're a team than what we think that they are. And hey, kudos to you, Daniel Jones. I mean, you got nothing, and probably rightfully so, but shit on your entire career so far. Kudos to you for continuing to go out there, battling back. It seems like the team still rallies around them. I mean, they're getting it done. Should have Singletary back this week. Slayton obviously took the reins last week and did awesome, 122 yards. Anytime that you have, looks like over 200 yards rushing total is going to be a good game. 257 yards out of Daniel Jones, no interceptions. Hey, that's a complete football game on the offensive side, if you ask me.
I think it's a combo of both. I think the Giants are a little bit better than we think. I thought Tracy looked really good running the ball. I think Seattle's not as good as we think as well, too.
I agree.
I think their record is a flaw.
Real Steelers, nobody wanted to win this game. It was a tough game to watch.
Very tough to watch. I watched it.
Of course we did. I mean, it was what was on. It was just tough to watch. Cowboys did pull it off, though. Steelers 3-2. The biggest news out of this is that Mike Tomlin has said will be a full participant in practice, and he has not named the starter for this week. It is what it is. I mean, obviously, I would love for Justin Fields to continue to start, not just because I believe in the kid, but the fact that obviously it's tied in with the Chicago Bears pick, 6th round, the 4th round, if he plays more than 50% of the snaps. However, I think that you would be doing a serious injustice to the Steelers team by switching out your quarterback now. But I've been wrong numerous times, and maybe Wilson does provide them a better opportunity to win football games. I don't see it, but hey, who am I? I'm just a kid in a man cave trying to broadcast to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I like Justin Fields. I think he's perfect in that offense. He has certain things that he's not going to excel in. That just it is what it is. But I don't think that what Russell Wilson provides
better, though.
I don't think what Russell Wilson provides is going to be any better than what Justin Fields has given you already. So I think you just have to go ahead and go. Is there a howling dog downstairs? I don't know if you hear that.
There's motion going on downstairs. Looks like somebody might have arrived. Looks like there's a lot of warm greetings, a lot of hugging, things of that nature going on down there. Then, of course, the baby screaming because the baby wasn't involved in whatever greeting happened.
Sounds like a werewolf down there. The baby is howling like he's changing from his human form to werewolf form right now. And I can hear that it's mine. I know it's mine.
Mm-hmm. You have the pitch of the screens down.
Of course,
Saints
yeah,
go
absolutely.
into Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. I'm so tired of the Chiefs, bro. I'm so tired of them.
Why?
I'm just tired of them. I'm tired of it all. I'm just tired of the Kansas City Chiefs winning every single they just find a way. I don't understand. You have, I mean, watching the Saints just leave the middle of the field open for Travis Kelce all night long just boggled my fucking mind. Like, again, you have two weapons on the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Xavier Worthy and you have Travis Kelce. And 9 times out of 10, every single drive, it seemed like one of them was completely wide open. I just don't understand it.
I needed a big play from Xavier Worthy to beat TJ, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. I will say this, shout out to Taylor Swift with her allegiance with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas Chiefs have taken over the Dallas Cowboys, the most hated football team in the United States. So shout out.
Did you see Belichick's reaction when they showed her on the screen?
Yes, and that's the same reaction that we all have. We don't give a shit. I respect what she's done with music. She's a great artist. She's a great entrepreneur. She's done many, many great things. I'm there to watch football, not
philanthropist,
to watch celebrity. Exactly. All of that stuff, great. But I'm there to watch football. I'm not there to watch girlfriends cheering. There is a production under the way, Bravo or something. They're going to do a reality series on the Chiefs' wives and girlfriends. Both Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift have opted out.
Then who cares? like who's watching that shit? Like you the two people that we care about are not in it. You know,
well,
I want to see their interactions together. I want to see them talk politics together. You know, I want to see that shit just to see what the dynamic is like.
And you know what? That's just a sad part of the whole thing is now, you know, obviously Taylor and Brittany don't talk together anymore because of politics.
No, what do you mean? Bro, before the game, Brittany ran up to Taylor. They had a huge embrace, a huge hug. Talked for like a little, what's going on, blah blah blah, and then they went their own ways. But literally, Brittany ran up to her and they gave a huge hug together. Yeah,
I didn't see that. But there is a rift. They're in separate suites now. They don't watch the game together. There's a little bit of rift, and it was driven by politics. We all know that. Okay.
Can we also say this too, right? Taylor has now brought her entourage with her into the suites, right? So there's more people involved now. Before it was just like Taylor, maybe a person or two. Also, did you see the funniest thing about this game when they were talking about the kid on the
She's bringing more people because she has her own suite now and she has to fill it. But go ahead. About the game?
The kid on the Saints, defensive tackle on the Saints. I forget his name now. Anyway, kid gets the interception in the end zone, runs it back to like the 35-yard line. Big boy just trucking down the field. His brother is Taylor Swift's backup dancer.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah. That is very interesting. We'll see what happens over there. But, wrap that up real quick, guys. If you disagree on politics, find a way around it.
Yeah.
I disagree with the 3-time, I still love
it. Me and Nick were out the other night and we were just vehemently going back and forth about politics. And he would say something, I would say something. He would say something, I would say something. Then we were both just like, all right, bro. Hey, man, be safe. Love you. Talk to you soon. He's moving to Jacksonville with this girl. God bless him. I hope everything goes amazingly for him because he's a good human being at the end of the day. Yeah. We just see the world differently, and it's fine. It's not an issue,
Exactly. Well, that's going to cap it up for the NFL real quick. On the the college football scene. UCF was
right now? Holy shit! Drop it. Got FedEx and Amazon dropping off packages right now.
Oh yeah, FedEx was going by. We can't have garbage pickup, but yeah, we can get Amazon and FedEx deliveries. But
is there no garbage?
UCF, no garbage pickups today.
Oh, mine was yesterday.
Until Friday. Yeah. UCF goes into the swamp. Big game up here in the Florida Gators, and the Florida Gators still prove that UCF, you are still little brother. I was actually really hoping Jeremy was going to be here for this. You're still little brother. As much as you progress and the one win that you did snag when nobody played, kudos to that. You're still little brother. Big win but outside of that, big win for Florida and Billy Napier, especially with Eugene Wilson III or Trey Wilson. obviously the most explosive playmaker. This is a good sign, man. It's a good sign for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Obviously, everybody wants his head. They want this. They want the next shiny new toy. But dynasties aren't built in a day. It's not. And the more that you continue to turn over your head coach, the recruits that you lose, I think that he is starting to play Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway beautifully. I think Graham Mertz, again, still deserves a start. It's a great change of pace, and it's a way to screw up defenses, right? I mean, you have Graham Mertz that isn't the most mobile quarterback, has a good arm, a completion passer rating, I think, is another 68% so far this year. He's over 70% last year. He's hitting the guys when they're open, as long as he has the time. Then, of course, you have DJ Lagway, who's also throwing some awfully pretty balls. A little bit more aggressive with the football, I will say that. And that's a nice change, man. You got Graham Mertz that continues to, to take what's open, take what's given. Might not hit the deep ball every time, but march down the field numerous times. DJ Lagway comes in, hits a couple deep balls, throws the ball maybe where it shouldn't have been thrown, but it's still caught. Great pass. I love what's going on over here. I hope that we'll see what happens this week. I will say that I don't know who we're playing this week. Let's see. We're going to Knoxville. We're
in the Knoxville.
Who's also
going to be a tough one.
Terrible loss
to Arkansas.
Arkansas at home.
They had a look ahead game for sure. They were for sure looking ahead. Listen, great win by UF. If you guys are cool, just keeping Billy, I'm cool with it as well too. Not like talking shit, but I've said for a couple years now, it took Mike Norvell a couple years to get through that program, and purge people out and get his own whatever in. To finally get to a place of relevancy and being good. And obviously we've taken a huge step back this year. But I kind of love what I saw from FSU this week. But what my point is that you got to be patient, and we're not patient as fans, right? We want results instantly, and it's not a microwave thing. And even if you look at Miami, right? Look at Miami playing, decent football. I mean, obviously they had a battle against Cal and a battle against Virginia Tech that they win in the last seconds of the game. But still, Mario has done a great job with that program, trying to turn it around and get it a lot better too. So,
Well, you happen to bring up Mike Norvell, so let's get into it. Clemson comes in and obviously dominates that game pretty much, 29-13.
Yeah.
To your point, I don't hear Florida State fans calling Norvell's head.
Never. Well, I mean, I don't want to say. I'm not going to say never. I'm just saying
another
that,
season like this, then yes, I'm sure you guys are going to be calling. Not you personally. I'm sure there's going to be. We all have that part of our fan base, right? The ones that just have zero patience. You lose 2 games, that's it. Everybody's over. I will say this to defend Florida fans, as obnoxious as they are. We haven't been relative since Tim Tebow, and that's painful to when we go through that stretch, right, where we were just dominant. It was national championship or bust every single year, and now we're scraping to get in playoffs.
Yeah.
So to your point, what do you think's going on in Florida State, though? I mean, the roster was there. I mean, there wasn't much turnover. You guys got some good transfer portals. You were ranked 10th to start the year. Yeah. What's going on over there? I mean, when you lose to Dabo, who I've questioned in regards to what his personnel is, he's stuck to his guns, but you lose to him at home. I don't know. Well, I mean, what's going on?
I mean, we were 16.5 point favor or underdog, so we covered by half a point at closing line.
There's small victories.
I will say this. I do think there was a lot of encouraging things to take away from this game. Brock Glenn stands in the pocket, throws a good ball. He's more mobile. It's just.
Are we done with DJ?
We are done with DJ. He had surgery on his finger. Indefinite timeline. Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't a performance switch. It was an injury switch. Okay.
He's eligible to redshirt. Let me say that. If he would like to play a 6th year.
How many years is he?
Somewhere else. It won't be with us, but he's eligible to redshirt. I thought that we fought the entire game. The wide receiver core is absolutely terrible. Linebacking core is absolutely terrible. A lot of the coaches that we have would not have been re-signed if we didn't go 13-0 and we didn't miss the playoff. If we would have made the playoff, I think that there would have been more of a case for turnover. The fact that we didn't make the playoff made it easier to bring dudes back. And I think you'll see a lot of turnover on FSU's staff after this year is over, offensively and defensively. And so that's what I expect. But I loved what I saw. I loved Brock being out there throwing the ball. And I don't want to see him drop back 45 times when you can't run the ball and the offensive line is that bad. There's pretty much nothing else you can do except for drop back, try to get out of the pocket and make a play. I thought our wide receiver core was terrible in drops and situations. You put yourself in great situations continuously, hammer yourself in the foot. You have a snap that goes 10 yards over Brockman's head. When you're on the 20-yard line, you end up back at the 50. You end up having to punt the ball. There's so many things that happen that you can't put your finger on one thing. But I love the way that they fought. I love they fought until the very last whistle, offensively and defensively, and that's all I can ask of my football team.
Yeah, love to see it. Now, what Paul Feinbaum is calling one of actually, it's not one, the worst loss in college football history. The Alabama Roll Crimson Tide goes into Vandy and loses 35-40. I mean,
we actually mentioned Vandy on this show as like, don't sleep on Vandy. Like whatever, like, because the spread was what, like 24.5 or something like that. And I believe I said, I go, you're coming off this win. You're hearing all this stuff all week. Don't sleep on Vandy, right? Vandy, as whatever you want to say, they're an SEC program who has turned it around, and they're in Nashville, they're in Cashville.
One of the craziest things I saw, though, is Alabama, the head coach, put rats around his locker room, like fake rats, to not have this be a look-ahead game. Like, watch out for the rats, right? And they still go in there and lose. That's absolutely crazy. Nature. I got a bigger question, probably one of the more important questions I'm going to ask you this year, Jeff. How do you get a goalpost out of a stadium?
How do you get a goalpost out of a stadium?
Yes.
You shake it off of its...
Okay, well, you're not walking it through the front door. How do you get a full-blown goalpost out of a stadium?
How did you get the goalpost in the stadium?
Well, the stadium people open up the giant doors
and
allow it. So you're telling me, I just want to make sure I got this. So once the goalpost comes down, right, the university is like, you know what, screw it. Open up the doors, let everybody out this way. Have fun.
I would do it.
You deserve it.
For sure. If I'm Vandy, give me the fine. I don't care. We beat Bama, tear down the goalpost, walk them out there. I'll order new ones. Who cares?
Well, the goalpost was retrieved. It was retrieved out of the river.
Out of the river?
3 miles away. They 3 miles down Nashville.
Good for them.
With police escorts. They shut down the streets.
Yeah.
Tossed it in, and then the Nashville Fire Department was able to
walked it down Broadway, didn't they? They walked it down Broadway? Yeah. What a moment that would have been, huh?
Absolutely.
Be on one of those rooftops, drinking, watching the goalpost, and the mob.
That's why I said there was a lot of babies
marching down
that night.
For sure. Yeah.
A lot of babies, a lot of unexpected pregnancies, a lot of Plan B sales the next day. Sunday. Plan B sold out Walgreens on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I don't know what their laws are in Tennessee on Plan B, but hopefully they're allowed.
On Plan B? I thought you could just buy it. Let's not get into that. Anyway, couple other quick games here. Washington comes into Michigan, the Big House, 27-17. Michigan, we thought they are. I didn't expect them to beat Washington in this game, let alone cover the spread.
What do you think about Portnoy?
Finally given.
Yeah, but he's offering $3 million NIL for a quarterback next year from Barstool.
I think that's everything with the NIL. Whatever, kudos to him, because everybody else is doing it, but I think that solidifies everything that was wrong with it, because now you're going to have somebody might be performing at a lesser college, aka UNLV, and now they're like, well, this guy's already putting out there $3 million, so let me reach out to my agent and say, hey, I want to transfer to Michigan at the end of the year for this $3 million and disrupt the entire program. Obviously, that guy's already left, but I'm just saying, if it was a starting good momentum, the program's starting to gather some momentum, become a viable team. Now somebody dangles a carrot over here. Whoop, I'm sorry, guys, I'm gone. $3 million over here. It is what it is.
I'm pretty sure he specified that it was for a high school recruit.
I don't know. Why, if you're going to pay that kind of money for a college quarterback, why wouldn't you buy one that's already proven themselves? Why would you take a chance?
What
That's
if you
good.
get
That's another thing
DJU?
that I think with here you go. Each paying teams $3 million to come play there. As we already mentioned, Arkansas did go into the Tennessee and beat Tennessee. Miami 39-38 completes a 21-point comeback. I'm so sick of Miami. I really am. But I will tell you the biggest thing I got,
This game got over at like 2:35 in the morning.
Yeah,
I know.
You know, one of the biggest.
I left Kitties at 2:15. Everybody was still there watching it, and I was like, I'm going home. This is crazy.
One of the most asinine things to me is, again, we talked about these conferences. You have Miami, that's arguably the furthest point of the East Coast, to Cal, which is arguably closest to the West Coast. I watched it took them 4 days to drive over there, or 3 days to drive, because they had to drive their semi with equipment all the way from Miami to Cal. Like,
I mean, you could fly your equipment if you had enough money as a program.
not too many people have jumbo jets, to be able to rent it out. I mean, if you have a
Legitimate
semi,
programs too.
Who?
Alabama.
Careful. No, they don't have a 747 at their leisure.
But
They all don't. But they're also not involved in a stupid ass conference where they would have to travel 1,500 miles to go play a football game. That to me, that's just stupid.
Wait, so are you saying that Florida State is warranted in not wanting Cal and SMU and Stanford into the ACC?
I think all of those conference alignments are absolutely egregious. You have a West Coast team and an East Coast team in the same conference. Dumb. It's absolutely dumb. Absolutely dumb. Hate every bit of it. Don't really care. It's SEC or bust anyway. Nobody cared about any other conference. Maybe the Big Ten or whatever they're called now. I don't know what it is, but it's SEC or bust. We all know that. To wrap it up today, we do have the MLB playoffs heating up. I will say this has been amazing games. Cleveland and Detroit are tied at 1-1. The Mets are up 2-1 against the Phillies. You are tied with the Royals, and the Padres last night was probably one of the more exciting series that we're going to see, is up 2-1 against the Dodgers. Now, there was some chirping. I don't know if you saw between the Padres and the Dodgers, between Manny Machado and one of the pitchers, I think it was.
Shocker, Manny Machado's involved in something.
I did see something where it said he threw a ball. Threw a ball into the dugout.
He threw a ball at Dave Roberts, supposedly. I don't know how true it is, but who knows? Should be fun. We get all 4 games today. Chance for a couple things to close out. Can I tell you how poorly the MLB runs the playoffs, though? I think it's absolutely atrocious and egregious. I believe I said that yesterday, but whatever. Little John Boy. Oh, that was the Profar when he caught the ball and then didn't tell anybody that he had it. I just hate the way that MLB sets up the playoffs. You get a 3-game series. You got to play one spot for the wild card. And then you move into 2 teams that have a bye that are now going to go off into play a 5-game series. You have teams that have battled all year, been the best team in baseball. They get 2 games at home. They lose one. Then all of a sudden they lose home field and they might not ever get back there. I don't know. It seems ridiculous the way that they run their MLB playoffs.
I wish there was a quicker one. I'm not about the video. Whoever you are there, I'm sure it was probably a great video. And this is the same one again, just in a different format. But anyway, we'll have to look at that. Obviously, some serious chirping going on over there. It's at least it's a rivalry, right? We're to the point where these people are now going at each other. That's what we all like to see. We like to see the warm-blooded. I will say that the Mets having a 2-1 game lead over the Phillies is a little surprising to me. There was one key in particular. I can't remember who the pitcher is that is now on the Phillies that was on the Mets, but I do believe it was either last year or
Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler, yes. That when he got hurt,
couldn't get the playoff tickets.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him travel with the team.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let him stay with the hotel, and if he wanted tickets, he had to buy his own tickets.
Different ownership then. But
still, that's going to reside with you. I don't care what happens.
Is thrown today, I believe.
It was either today or yesterday.
Oh no, Suarez is thrown today.
I think it was yesterday he threw, because that's why I saw it. They brought up that storyline, but that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us thought that the Detroit Tigers would still be here and still be relevant at this point. But we are getting down to the nitty gritty. The Royals picking up one on the Yankees. The Royals look good, man. Obviously, they take out the Baltimore Orioles in a straight sweep. The Royals look good, dude. Bobby Witt Jr. continues to impress. I think that team, it's one of those things where it's a young team and they're just hungry, man. They're just hungry. So
Who's
out of
throwing
this,
today?
Jeffrey, I don't know.
Seth
what we had.
Lugo is throwing today. Oh my god, what's the over?
Yesterday was black, I think.
8.5.
So out of this, Jeffrey, I don't know who we had. Do you remember who we had for our picks for the World Series?
Yeah, I have the Dodgers and the Yankees.
I think I have the Phillies. I think I have the Orioles.
Yes.
So obviously I still have the Phillies. You still have the Dodgers. So We'll see what happens. So now that you've seen this, who do we think our World Series matchup's going to be?
Dodgers and the Phillies.
Dodgers, Phillies? You think the Dodgers are going to come back on the
I'm sorry. Dodgers, Yankees.
Dodgers, Yankees. Yeah. Wow.
I do. I think Musgrove is a big injury for them, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think the way that offense is firing, give me the Padres against the Phillies. I'm going to stick with them. I think that they come back and beat the Mets, and I just hope they do because I just don't like the Mets. I don't know.
Fair enough.
That's going to do it for us today on this Hurricane edition of the Uninformed Fan. Let's see what's going on out there in the world. If you are in Florida or anywhere around, please be safe. We have no idea what this storm is going to head. Looks like it's going to head a little bit further south, but who the hell knows?
It looks like it took a wiggle south, so hopefully it stays south. We don't get a direct hit. We don't lose power. These kids get to play Fortnite for the next 5 days in a row, and everything is good. You got any thoughts you want to say, Oliver? No?
As you can see, it's still pretty quiet out there right now. I don't believe that we're supposed to get anything here until really Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow afternoon, late night. So we'll see what happens.
I think late tonight, tomorrow morning, something like that. I think there's a curfew at 8 o'clock. So anyway, everybody be great.
If you do drive out there, now that you can drive on the shoulders, please, for the love of God, stay out of the left-hand lane. We'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.